It's showtime.
Down to business. I got my wild cherry Diet Pepsi, and I got my blackjack gum here, and I got that feeling. Yeah, that familiar feeling that something rank is going down out there.
And if you can't believe it, it's a Friday once again.
How can he close me up? On what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Everybody out at once.
There's a city out there that never learned the difference between shadow and light. A place where the truth meanders forward with a faint limp just behind a lie. And both of them wear the same brand of fedora. The city's name is immaterial. Could be New York, could be Chicago. Anywhere that sin pays in small bills and broken promises. It's a place built on corruption, favors, and half-truths, where hope checks in under an alias and leaves via the back door before dawn. The pelting rain and snow may wash the street clean, but never the souls walking them. Tonight, we're not chasing a hero. We're looking for a pulse of morality beneath the bruises such a city leaves. Stories whispered in the dark, printed in ink as black as the midnight itself, that never ends. This is where noir meets the abyss, and both forgot their way home. Welcome to the gutter. Everyone ends up here eventually. It is only a matter of time. I am your host, Aldous. As always, my co-host, JP. JP, how do we find ourselves this evening?
Oh, it's a glorious night. You know, it almost is a bit of a challenge what we have in front of us, because how do you criticize something that is right up our streets?
It is. This is, we'll get into that in a minute. Let's turn to the chat before we start talking about our topic this evening. We got Citizen Ronan says, "You're a cop," she said wearily. "Private," I replied. "Working a case, or are you just here for kicks?" She snickered back. "On the job. Kicks in the gutter are for after hours," I shot back with a wink. We also got Snugs. What's up, chat? Good to see you, Snugs. And go check out Citizen Ronan stuff too, man. He posted another pyrography piece, which is when an artist uses a wood burner to burn a piece into wood. And he's drawn a horse, and it looks great. My suggestion for the name of the horse would be Elmer, but that's just me. Oh, I'm not reading that, Snugs. Citizen Ronan has, I've got my fedora on, tilted to the side. Oh, yeah.
If you had a horse, what would you name it?
Elmer.
Elmer? Okay. I'm going to go with Napoleon.
Nah, Boxer would be my second choice.
How about Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt would be a good choice. If it was a mare, what would you name it?
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe? There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Henry Bemis has joined us. Always good to see you, Mr. Bemis. We built this city, Snugs. We built this city. Student of God has joined us. Good to see you.
Oh, we missed the obvious one, Mandy.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Why the long face? Oh, speaking of that, I can do this now. We can have background music. Look at that. Now we got background music going on.
Oh, wow.
But I was thinking of calling the horse John. Ooh, calling the horse John. I like it. I like it a lot. No, we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about noir. Just about noir. What does noir mean to you, JP?
Oh, a lit cigarette hanging in the air, a glass, a highball with 12-year-old scotch, and a black eye.
Do you think it's is it an era? Is it a mood? Is it a style, or is it a combination? What is it?
I think it's a language.
A language. Expand upon that, if you would.
No.
All right, then. Should be cheap scotch, says Snugs. But yes, tonight we will be talking about the 4-issue miniseries from 1984, Nathaniel Dusk, Private Eye. So let me scroll up. We can start looking at the covers for those because I've got them right here. These are the 4 issues. Nathaniel Dusk, Private Investigator, issue number 1. This was released in February of 1984. It was 32 pages long, including ads. And hold your breath on this one, guys, because I'm going to blow your mind here in a minute. Issue 2 was released the next month. 32 pages, including ads. Issue 3, that's right, was released in April. 32 pages, including ads. And then, actually, that was issue 4. This is issue 3. Issue 4 was released the following month in May. So what you have here is 4 issues, each released consecutively. That's kind of shocking.
Yeah. I like how even the names of the creators sound noir.
Yeah, well, and we've got, let's talk a little bit about those guys. This was the entire impetus behind this was entirely credited to Don McGregor. Don McGregor. This is Don. He is the writer for this series, but he created the whole concept. He pitched it to DC, and he got it greenlit. But it goes a little bit beyond that. There's more to Don's story, and we need to touch on that a little bit. This is Don was born on June 15th of 1945. He is currently 80 years young and still living. He is a veteran. He served in the Rhode Island National Guard as a military policeman. He did see some overseas service, but he first broke into comics in Warren Publishing. And his first published story was not the first story they bought from him, but that was the Fade Away Walk in Creepy number 40 of February 1971. During the latter portion of the 70s, that damnable decade of disco, he did a lot of work for Vampirella for Warren. He had a brief stint as a Marvel assistant editor and writer before returning to Warren. McGregor is probably in that era most famous for producing Saber, the graphic novel for Eclipse, to much wild acclaim. In fact, Grant Morrison has cited his quote-unquote poetic style of narration as a strong influence for a number of writers that are in his sphere. But this was also the co-creation. Well, the idea was the nascent form of McGregor, but it came to fruition with the addition of Gene Colan. Now, Gene, we all know from his Warren days as well, and that's where McGregor knew him from. Gene was born on September 1st of 1926 and sadly passed away from this mortal coil on June 23rd, 2011 at the age of 84. The world is still a lesser place for Gene Colan's passing. Colan's style is not nearly as highly praised as it should be, partially because he's gone. It was at the time, but his star is kind of faded as the years pass. His style is very fluid. You're going to see that tonight. He uses a very delicate touch of ink or a heavy shadow. He's really adept at knowing how to put that ink on the page. But for this series, for the Nathaniel Dusk series, he used watercolors to get an effect for a moody atmosphere that was intended. And we're going to be complimenting that quite a bit later. But those are the two gentlemen that are responsible for this. And I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about what's your overarch before we get into the pages here for the issues, JP?
I thought it was a very satisfying mystery. And I think that the nuts in the sundae would be, as you had mentioned before, both the poetic prose coupled with the ethereal watercolor style that I am only now starting to understand as you described it.
Yeah, and I think the prose really carries this. This is a reader's book. Not to say the art's not great. It's Gene fucking Colan. But the art is phenomenal. But this is a reader's book. This is a writer's book. This is a writer that poured his heart into it. And you can see that in a couple of things that we're going to get to in a little bit. Now, how can you acquire this? There is no collection of this to my knowledge. However, the issues by themselves are not easy to find. They're not rare by any means. I would rate them as like an uncommon. If you want the easiest path to get them, for $15 to $20 plus shipping, you can get a full set of 4 off of eBay. You can go over to mycomicshop.com. You can get all 4 for like $2.50 to $5 an issue. There's lots of avenues to acquire these, but if you're looking to catch them in the wild, you're probably going to be able to find issue 1, and you're probably going to be able to find issue 2. 3 and 4 are going to be a little difficult just by the nature of circulation numbers. So if you want to read it, $20, probably pushing 30 at the high end with shipping. We'll get you all 4 issues. This is a full recommend from me before we get into it. I'm just going to be fully clear on that. I don't know about you, JP. You're welcome to state either now or later, whatever you'd like to do.
Well, I mean, I was just praising it. So, hey, this book is great. Don't buy it.
Hey, you never know. I mean, there's Void Indigo is one of those books where I tell people, like, look, it's terrible, but you really
that's fair. This sucks. Go get it right away.
Because it's so bad, you need to own it just to understand how terrible it is. And the weird part about that one still is the talent on this. This one has talent and is good, but I am adding that caveat: if you're not a big reader, or if you're a modernist, you're going to have some issues with this. But let's dig into it. Henry Bemis says Don has seen some shit. Yeah, Don has that look that he's seen some shit. Don's been around for a while. For sure. Well, let's jump in. They are all one shots. No, it's a 4-issue miniseries. There is a follow-up to this. It's a sequel miniseries, but this is it's 4 issues. They all tell one story. It's one story in 4 parts across 4 issues, and it's just never been collected. So you're going to have to score the floppies if you want to get them. But let's dive right into issue 1 right off the bat. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff, but I'd like to know what your thoughts are, JP, when you jump into the story, just the first couple of pages. What was your takeaway?
This was actually one of very few things I had a little bit of a problem with as a reader, because it's not that the dialogue isn't clearly marked, but it's carrying you from piece of dialogue at the top, narration at the top, narration number 2, and then if I'm going from top to bottom, I'm kind of veering off to the left and reading something that isn't narration, and then back to narration. So it was like a small thing, but I'd really like for them to move that third piece of text maybe up.
So I think if my assessment is correct based off of what you're saying, and I understand what you're implying, I think you're going to have that issue with a lot of stuff in this series, because the layout feels very much like, even though this is 1984, it feels very much like a Warren layout from the late 60s, early 70s. I love that about it, but I can understand how it would cause a little bit of confusion, because it doesn't follow it doesn't necessarily always follow a natural flow pattern of how you think eyeline would work. But
so I'd call it the reader's momentum.
Right. That's an excellent way to put it. So we start off every issue with this nice establishing shot, and then we move into the story. And what issue 1 does is we spend about the first, I'd say, 8 pages really focusing on who Dusk is as a character. And we go out of our way to explain him. But we do it in a very, not a creative way, we just do it in a very efficient way for a 4-issue series. And we get a great title page as you turn to page 2, a little bit of narration lead in, and now you're starting to see that watercolor. That real subtle, everything's
much
almost
brighter.
It's bright, but it's almost ethereal.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get dark yet. We're still just setting things up. But again, really nice structured panels, really large. We're utilizing the top third of that page in one big splash, and then we're structuring it down. So expect to see a lot of stacked panels in this based off of how we're
breaking
going.
the gutter.
Yep. And we're going to talk about breaking the gutter, because we do that a lot in this. And again, that's that late 60s, early 70s Warren philosophy flowing in. And this is a great page that illustrates that this is a reader's book. This is not, you're not going to flip through this and just oogle the art. You certainly can. There's pages that are fantastic, but this is a book you need to read. You got to chew on it. The dialogue is written in such a way that, in my opinion, it's fantastic. These guys are fans of Chandler. They're fans of Hammond. Don McGregor knows what he's writing and wants to get it there. I'm going to read a little bit of some of the narration that you've got here. You tell yourself you do it because it gives you freedom, and along with the scotch, the lie keeps you reasonably content. My office is in the East 80s. These days, they call the mansard roofs picturesque, but there was a time before the World War and the Depression when it was considered elegant. I mean, just real sharp, biting dialogue that's both cutting and informative at the same time.
Yeah, while
That's
also being a critique.
Right, you're going to get that throughout the course of this. The one weird thing about this is it shifts from a past tense narration to a present tense dialogue frequently. So it's a little. I'm trying not to say this to be mean, but if your reading comprehension isn't above like 5th grade, you're going to have a really hard time with this book.
Well, I think we want to we want to maintain an audience here in the gutter, and I think you've managed to alienate most of them.
I would hope so, because that's certainly not my intended audience. But just want to make sure that's clear. But again, you see that etherealness. We've got that color palette that we've already talked about, and again, we're still rocking those stacked panels. But then you flip over to this, and now we're doing it a little bit different. The dialogue is drastically cut, but again, we have that narration, that sharp worded narration. It's just, I think it's the driving force. I think it's absolutely my favorite thing of the book is the way the narration just sings.
Yeah. It's. I mean, you've said this before already. It's very, very, very poetic.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, especially later when the narration is describing the setting and things like the snow and the shadows. Like it honestly reads like Robert Frost.
Oh, it does. There's 2 levels to this book. This is one of the few books that we've ever reviewed here that I would say that actually has a literary quality to some of the writing that's within it. Like it is, some of this narration is just good, like really, really good. Some of the dialogue is really good. There are moments, and we'll get into those in some later issues, where it gets a little heavy-handed, just a little, but it is phenomenal. And that's why it's a full recommend. And greetings to Zaid Comics, who has just joined us. But we gotta move through these issues, man. We gotta move through these pages. We're kind of dragging ass, and we're behind the pace. Again, we get the introduction of the love interest of Joyce, and we've got that heavy dialogue style. We've got that heavy narration style. But again, those soft colors. We've got bright colors. We've got soft colors. They're complementing each other.
Yeah, women are wearing primary colors, and men are wearing secondary colors.
Yep, and then we move into we get a nice action with the door slamming on the page turn, and we get the interaction, and then we get kind of the reverie, the memory, right? He's describing something that happened, and we kind of the memory is not clear, so the image is not clear.
Yeah,
That's
flashback in white is interesting.
And that carries forward throughout the issue. When we're either doing a memory or we're unconscious, things aren't clear, and that consistency in this is fantastic. And there's
like I said white, but really it's I'd say, like you had talked about it being hazy, and it looks like smoke, and that becomes even more apparent later on. Like
Absolutely,
it's drifting up into the nothing.
And then as we're doing those memories, the panel structure, and we've talked about this numerous times, when you're doing something of a reverie, when you're doing something of a callback or a memory float, you want to do something that indicates to the reader, just by the naked eye, that there is something different about these. So what do we do here? We make the panels, we don't just shift them on an angle, we make the gutter lines squiggly. Brilliant choice, really, really works. And this is Gene Colan just absolutely hitting a home run. Now, there's a lot of people that aren't going to like this, myself included, because of the white space, right? Like, I hate white space. Here it works because of the palette choices.
I think there's a moment later on where there's
negative space.
I think there's a moment later on where there's an entire white space that just feels like there's a panel was ripped out of it.
But in the context of the story, I think I actually have that page if it's the same one we're talking about. But then we get something like this that's super busy, and we get a bunch of narration. But again, the narration is so goddamn good. Like, the writing is just on fucking point. McGregor's killing it. Again, let me read some. I could tell from the moment I'd gotten close that he didn't look like a man who used his fists. He had an arrogant manner without the muscles to back it up. With genuine regret, I tossed the scotch into his face before his hand cleared his pocket. I had played it too cute. I had thought that a sure bet that his brief gunless school days, his arrogant manner had earned him many a justifiable beating, which I had contributed to his effective ugliness. I'd thought that without giving up the gun, he'd have folded up. Instead, he went berserk, charging up like a ball of meat. It was a goddamn good thing that he didn't have more horns. The condiments jumped. Ketchup splashed like congealed blood. The use of congealed there is just perfect. Like, it gives you everything you need. Like, it's not included in the image because it doesn't need to be included in the image, because between the image and the narration, you get everything you need. Like, there's
a lot of unnecessary descriptors, but that's just style points. Like, that's just a writer showing off.
Right. No, this is a guy McGregor's at the top of his game, and he's just absolutely singing with Colan. And then we turn the page and we get some more great action. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about this was, a lot of times we talk about action happens in the gutter, but also you can use overlaid panels and the structure of the panels themselves to imply things. And here, that's exactly what Colan's using. He's using non-rectangular panels. They're rhomboids. And he's angled them in such a way that you get the sense of action we're still maintaining gutter lines slightly, but you'll notice that he's breaking them with the foot and the crunch. Everything is just kind of shifting just a little bit to give you that sense of action. It's just a great sense of motion across the page.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the part that seems really particularly ingenious to me is using negative space to imply motion.
And that's where this book exists outside of that realm of so many books that we've talked about here, where that white space is just, it is, the negative space doesn't do anything. Here it's actually beneficial. You get the sense of fluid motion because the space seems open.
Yeah.
And it's an expert use of colon understanding how to lay out a page. It's the difference between somebody that's trying to rote or copy or homage something without understanding why it was done versus somebody understanding how to do it. And it's absolutely brilliant. And then we end this action beat on, again, some heavy narration, but nice action beats. It's very well balanced on the page. And we've got, again, that moment where, like, there's a whole panel that's missing. But the narration covers everything. And it moves you through the story, and it brings you down to that last page. And then you close out the issue.
What do you think happened there? Like, don't you want like that car to go to the edge?
No, I don't. I want to leave. I think this works so well the way it is. I think this
like
is
just
because the narration guides you. I mean, I'm sure there's artists out there that are like, going, "Oh my God, why don't show feet and give me action beats?" Like, no, just all you need is that white space and then that narration. It works, man. That's a home run. Don't argue with an infield home run or an in-park home run. And then at the end of issue 1, we get a really nice essay from McGregor that's explaining on freelancing and private eyes, a journey from the 1980s to the 1930s. Now, I also want to talk briefly, ever so briefly, about, and it's a really good essay. It's just 2 pages, but it's a really good read. And I'll post it probably on X this week. But one of the touch points in this to establish both the timeline historically and establish you within the world is the fact that this is set in 1934 during the New York City taxi driver strike. And that's within the realm of the story that plays a little bit of a role. And that actually did happen. It's a really cool historical event. How they work it into this is really unique. I really like that. It just shows that McGregor is really grounded and did his research. It's not one of those things where, like, you're watching something from the 40s or I think it was the 30s, and there's like 3 streetlights and a New York stop sign. Like, no, they took the third light out. It was just 2 lights for a number of years before they added the third light back in. Like, it's just little things like that if you're aware of the history, it's nice for their inclusion, and it grounds it even more. Really, really well done. Moving into issue 2, we're a little behind, so I'm probably going to have to speed it up a little bit. What were your thoughts about the page, the chapter introductions for each issue?
I thought they were great because you get that cliffhanger satisfaction right away, and the narration picks up immediately. I would almost be annoyed if this was just an image without the narration.
And again, I think that's the key here. This is a reader's comic. Maybe it was a different market. Maybe it's a different world. McGregor did a lot of work later in his career, but this really seems to sing as just an ode to pulp, but also an ode to people that actually read. And I think that it comes across so well. And I don't think that was the intention. I think McGregor's coming from a different era than the one we live in now, obviously, where literacy was at a different level. But his word choice, his phrasing, this is a love letter to the 30s pulp in so many ways, and how he's structuring things and how he's phrasing things. It's just, this is meant for an audience that in 84, when it was released, would have been, I think he's writing to kids at the time that he was a kid, if that makes sense. They were picking up pulps in the early 50s that were kind of hand-me-downs and just floating around. I think that's what this is intended for. I don't think it's intended for that 13 to 14-year-old audience. However, out of this, I think you've got a lot of people like myself, because I owned this run when I was in my formative years, and I loved it because of the writing, and that opened up that door for me to, drift into the Robert E. Howard, drift into the John Carter from Mars, and the Edward Rice Burroughs. This was an entry point for that. So I think McGregor accomplished his goal. That's an absolute home run. But in issue 2, we also start playing with, again, that panel construction that's not structured. Again, we play with that, where's the panel? It's like you're expecting a panel there, and instead we get narration, and the narration for each individual panel fills the void. So where normally you do panel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and follow the order, this one actually is like an arc, man. You're like rocking around the page, and the page turn's not the action beat, it's the narration beat. But it works. Did it work for you, or did you?
Yeah, sorry. This is the part where I usually jump in, but I'm just still, it's such a well-narrated singular moment that it feels incredibly visceral, instead of just like two guys punching each other up. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it's got a great back and forth, like somebody's narrating a fight that's already happened.
So you're getting that internal monologue that just kind of sucks you in.
Exactly. Yep. And then we go back to a very structured, but it's still, and you'll notice this, colon plays a lot. And I don't know if this is colon, I don't know if this is the letterer, but you're going to notice that there's a lot of gutter line breaking with dialogue bubbles throughout this, but they're done in such a way that I'm trying to think of the word to use. It's not done. It's not overly done. It's done. It's like a scalpel going in and just delicately doing its work. It's very, very surgical in how they choose to break the gutter line when they do. And there's a great page to show that later. But now we're back into a structured routine with our action beats.
That's a shame.
In a very Alan Williams kind of way, but we're not doing them structured, right? We're breaking those walls, even though we've got stacked panels and we're playing with a 9-panel grid structure. We're doing it in such a way that we're going to play with your mind a little bit, because this is not a linear story. There's a lot of layers, and we're going to suggest that by not doing linear grid lines. Everything's a little broken. Everything's a little fractured. But we are going to break the gutter line. If you look down there at panels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the gun and the blast is extending out, and then we've got the reaction going into the next page. Just nicely done. And then we go back to that static, calm structure. But then when we get the reveal that Joyce has been murdered, what do? We shift the panel. The reveal is not reality, right? It can't be reality. How can she be dead? It's almost not real, but it is
like
real.
A photograph.
Yeah, oh man. These are two guys that understand everything about what they're doing, and it's an absolute home run. But then we also get this, and we go back to that structure, and now we're on a timeline. We get that reveal. We're in 1934. We already knew that from the taxi driver strike, but we start getting the reveal. My only critique of this page, with panel 2 with the wanted poster, you could have made that a newspaper headline and made that the background for the bottom 2/3 of the page, and then laid over those panels on top of it. That giant white bar in the middle, I get what he's going for, but at the time I think it worked, but now looking back, I don't think it works the way they want it to work.
Also notice how, like, we've been using the word ethereal. This is probably where the story just becomes very dreamlike from the shock of her being killed.
Oh yeah, no, and you're going to see that in the colors again. The palette is going to shift just a little bit. It's very subtle, but it does shift, especially with his coat. You're going to see the shift in his coat. Right there is a good example. We go from this to this, and we
that
get
second
this
panel or that third panel. That was like a jaw dropper.
Oh man, this is so good. This is like
genius.
I think both of us could probably spend 15 minutes praising this page because
like I had to flip back and make sure that it was like an exact copy of her face.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It's fantastic. This is pre John Constantine. Obviously, we just talked about John Constantine, Hellblazer during Pumpkin Spice season. The ethereal nature of the smoke that's rising off of Constantine's cigarette is a huge part of his character. It's a massive part of the suggestibility of the subliminal of what's going on behind the obvious within the page, within the story, within the context. Here, this is pre all of that, and Colin's delivering. That's a home run. Panel 2 is fantastic, or panel 3 is fantastic. But do not undercut panel 2 for the setup, because it's him taking the draw off of the cigarette and his dialogue that sets everything up for panel 3. This is artist and writer working simpatico and understanding what they mean. And it's a home run. It's my favorite part. This is my favorite page.
I want that panel on my wall.
Absolutely. Dude, take the dialogue out and just give me that panel. It's brilliant.
Like when people talk about what is it about comics that makes them so special, and the idea of it being a visual medium, this is patient zero.
Absolutely. No, this is absolute home run. Absolutely amazing. But then it gets better. Now we're starting to play with what Colin did best over with Warren and Creepy and Eerie, and we're really singing. We're going to get a little weird, and we're going to start playing with not just gutter lines, but the concept of what's real and what isn't, because our boy is going to start drinking. And as
is that a mistake that I think earlier in the book, from inside the office, the name and the words on the door were facing the other way?
It is. They should be inverted. But he's going to start drinking, so as soon as he starts drinking, you can't trust anything, because the art tells you can't trust anything, because now we're drifting into broke. We're not structured. We're not format. Everything's floating. There's no line until the phone rings, and then we have lines. But he's still hung up. He's still hung over, so everything's just a little off. But this is another one that I need to read some dialogue on, because the dialogue here is absolutely fantastic. If you look at panel 4, Squire was in the kitchen. His back was arched unnaturally. The gash across his throat was jagged and final. I'd heard the soft, wet sound before in the back room of the precinct house. It was the sound
they
of
actually showed you that
hitting
earlier.
the floor at a drop at a time.
Yeah.
And then to add into that, your eye drifts down the page and you hit the gun barrel and you follow the gun and you see the little faint trail of blood and then just the drip. It's so good.
I have a question though, because in the first issue they show that, right? So how far in advance did they plan it?
That I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to go
like,
back.
Not planning the story, but planning like mapping out the art direction, because you see the
I would assume the
blood
entire.
hitting the
I would assume the entire issue, the entire 4-issue mini, was planned out ahead of time, and key moments like that were keyed in on and referenced, and there would be a note like, "Hey, this from issue 1 needs to pay off in issue 2," because there's a couple things that pay off in issue 3, or that are referenced in issue 3 that pay off in issue 4. So my guess is that's all done ahead of time. And then we go into the end of issue 2, and we get again, we got that stylization. But remember the palette when we talked about the soft palette? Yeah. Everything's going to be soft now. The entire tone of Dusk after issue 2 is now his coat color which prior to this wasn't yellow, is now going to match the same color as Joyce's robe when she was found dead. Because he's on a hunt for vengeance. And so now that color's been adopted, and it's going to shift over. Now, is it also a Dick Tracy allegory? It probably is, because of what style he's going for here. But Dusk is not a Tracy character. He's not a man of law. He's a man of action. He's a man of response. He's a man of results. And then at the end of issue 2, we get another one. We get another nice essay from McGregor. We get a solitary private eye and a medium of superheroes. Again, this is an essay that's worth reading. Again, I will be posting this on X probably next week. And I've got to shift over to a new page because we're in issue 3 now. And man, we got to get moving. We're behind schedule. Again, we get that nice splash right off the front on issue 3. JP, thoughts?
I mean, just as the last one, it picks up the action from the end of issue 2, like immediately. So that's like, it's super satisfying. You know, it's not a cliffhanger that you have to wait to get resolved.
Oh, for sure. Hostman's Lounge is joining us. Always good to see you, Ziggs. Thanks for joining us, man. But yeah, moving into it, again, we get that we've got 2 things going on this page. We get a great action beat off of that initial splash.
By the way, that assassin sucks.
Both quote unquote, both of the assassins in this are not very. If there's a weak spot in this book, it's them.
Yeah.
The 2 primary protagonists or antagonists aren't well structured at all. You know what they feel like? I've been watching some Roger Moore Bond villain movies lately. They feel like Roger Moore Bond villains. Like it's just everything's just a little too telegraphed. And that is a good point. That is a little bit of a weak point of the book, that Dusk is just always a little too on the ball and a little too
I would say it's written like the action beats are written like he's about to be rescued by something else or somebody else, but it's really just that his opponents are just completely inept.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. But we go again to the action. Again, action happens between the gutter lines. How do we show that? What have we talked about on this book? What's done so well? Breaking those gutter lines. What do we get? We get some action beats that are breaking the gutter lines. And when the action beats don't break the gutter lines, the narration breaks the gutter lines. And we're not using standard, again, we're in that rhomboid style of panels, and we're playing with sizing for flow and structure. Again, in the dialogue, again, absolute home run. This is just, I can't praise this book enough. And then this page, man, I love the dialogue on how it's written on this page, and I got to pull it up here so I can read it.
I like how the open space where he's falling and the words are just guiding you down.
Right. And he felt my legs taking his weight, and he knew he was going over again, suckered by the same tactic, except this time he was several stories off the ground. And he hit the electrified rail, and even over the roar of the train I could hear the language of electricity, short, abrupt, and final. He spun over the edge, Raggedy Andy on his last journey. He became a tiny figure, lost by height in the train's passage. Come morning, after the police had cleared away the body, all that would be left was a dent and a blood smear on some motorist's car. The owner would wonder what the hell happened. He might never know. Just whoosh. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. But again, we're playing with narration structure, reading path. This one, it gets a little heavy, and moving further into this series, 3 and 4, there's a couple of pages, this is one of them, that I think could have used a little bit of an editor's pen. I think we can cut this down just a little bit. But I like the nature of it. I like the style of it. I like the flow. I think it could have been cut down a little bit. And then we jump back into this structure. But again, we got that languid style. What's he remembering? He's remembering Joyce up above. It's the same as that previous page with her face in the smoke, man. It's that reverie. It's the memory. and it has that light, airy quality. It's just perfect. Love it. And then we go into, again, a very dialogue-driven page. I think this could have been cut a little bit, but not much. I thought this flowed really well.
Yeah, there's a lot of there were times where it kind of reminded me of something I've talked a lot about in the past is the way when you would watch an old episode of Doctor Who, he would get kidnapped by the villain and then escape and then get kidnapped again and then escape and then get kidnapped again and escape. This book had that, but I like the way it ended up resolving and explaining why he's just immediately found out by anybody who's looking for him.
Right. Hostman says, that music is such a vibe. Should bum a cigar and mix a Negroni. Oh, there you go, man.
The Gutter has aura now.
Yeah, I thought, since it's NOIRvember, we're going to be doing this the entire month of November. We're going to be looking at some noir-styled books. And, yeah, we're going to keep this vibe going because I dig it. I know JP digs it. And apparently you guys dig it, too. So, and really, we don't give a shit what you guys dig. It's about what we like. But yeah, Citizen says, I would have used sploosh. Well, I think there's a time and a place for sploosh, but that probably isn't it. But again, we get that phone again. The phone does become a little bit of an icon within this, with a little bit of a totem in how we're using the phone. It awoken us back from our drunken stupor. It awakens us back to reality in issue 3. And but again, nice stylization. Again, the yellow of the coat matches the yellow of her robe earlier. And then we go into some more pages like this. Now we're playing with a couple of things. And this is Colin just showing off. Like the perspective of the arm outstretched, releasing the gun. This is something that we're going to see again in issue 4. But you'll notice now we're not playing with white space. It's very clustered. It's a lot of overlapping panels because it's fastidious action. It's super fast. We've got a lot of things going on. And we're going to do that and tell you it's different than all of the action before by what? Overlaying panels on top of art. We don't have any white space here. We're not showing gutter lines. When we show gutter lines, that implies pause and or point of perspective change. This is just excellent execution on page design. And it's done by people that know what they're doing. McGregor and Colin have worked before. They both worked together at Erie. They both worked together at Creepy for Warren. These are guys that know each other. Hell, if you go back to that essay that I'm going to post on X from issue 1, at the end of the essay, McGregor thanks Colin. He's like, my God, brother, it was great working with you. Like, you get it. Why does he get it? Because they're of the same era. They were both born into this style. They get it. They get this kind of storytelling. It's not that modernist, we need action beats for the sense of action beats. It's action for the sake of story. And we're going to both use words and images in conjunction with each other because that's what a comic is both of those things working together to execute perfectly, and you get that here, and it's goddamn magic.
The only problem I have here is I'm not a big fan of that watch that looks like a woman's watch. Women's watches are usually ovals, men are round.
That's the style of the time. It's 1934, and again, I can understand your position on that, but with the style at the time, it's completely it's period accurate that he would have a watch of that style. And again, what are we doing? We're playing with some etherealness. The lights, the headlights on the car, breaking the gutter line, washing out the top panel. Brilliant. I like the narration. I can't compliment this book enough. You guys just need to go out and buy a copy of the four issues for the miniseries. I do have to move fast because we're running out of time. But again, we structure of panels, page layout, dialogue, little heavy. I think this page could have used a little bit of dial down, but again, we have that missing panel that you talked about back in issue 1. This is like the 5th time we've talked about it, where there's a page with what you would assume would be a panel, but instead of a panel, we get dialogue. And it works because, my God, McGregor just hit a home run on how he structured the dialogue in this and the narration. But do you think this is becoming a little bit of a crutch within the book? Or do you think it really works because we've established it early on?
I'm okay with it. I did want to ask your opinion, though, on the green jacket becoming the same color as his in the third panel.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Yeah, I think that might be just a printing error.
Ah, okay. And speaking of panels that I want hanging on my wall, I really just want, you imagine you bring a lady home and you just have a giant comic book panel hanging on your wall of a woman with a black eye, and it just says, "He's also got syphilis."
Oh, man. You had to call that one out. But we go into the fight between the two, one of the assassins and our hero Dusk, and we get some great action here. Again, I think this is the best action page in the book. We're breaking the gutter line with his feet across the action. We're not doing linear panels. Excellent page layout. Dialogue hits. It's written just like everything else in this. Absolute home run. McGregor's singing, Colin's singing. This is two guys that are just working in simpatico, and oh my God, do I love it.
And we also have Turnabout, whereas he chucked the other guy overboard twice. Now he's the one that gets chucked overboard.
That is a good call. And that does matter because as he flies off the boat, again, we're playing with gutter lines, we're playing with panel design. He goes off the boat, and we end issue 3 on that note, on the cliffhanger. The black guy tells me, not a good listener. There you go. And we open up issue 4, the closing issue, with this great splash of our hero, Nathaniel Dusk, being in the water. A lot of narration, but it works.
Yeah.
It sets everything up. And where do we continue on to that? Again, we're playing with, Colin's playing with that ethereal tone that he set earlier. Is this a memory? Is this reality? We don't know. He's underwater. He's losing breath. He's floating.
He's probably still drunk.
He is probably still drunk. We established that earlier, that he downed quite a bit of scotch. But we float. And again, where do we break the gutter lines? We break the gutter lines at absolutely brilliantly point. Like, I cannot compliment this enough. This is such a home run on how we're constructing page layout. Colin's understanding everything. This is why Colin's a master. Now, we do have some misses, and this is a page of misses. This is, after everything that's hit in page 4, we have a lot of dialogue that we need to get through to explain where we're going. And this is a very, very heavy-handed way of going about it. Like, we really should have dialed it down. Of the 4-issue run, this page 6 of issue 4, is probably the weakest page.
Yeah, I mean, I like the story beat of finding out that the guy has been feeding information, and that's why they keep showing up. But it could have been said in a lot less words.
Yeah, this is it feels like a roadblock. Like, you've been moving along at a good pace. The whole book feels like a detour that you didn't know you were going to be taking on your way home, and you've been enjoying it the whole time. And then you get to a 4-way stop sign that normally doesn't get a whole lot of traffic, and you have to sit. That's what this page is. This page is a 4-way stop sign, or a 4-way intersection that isn't used to this much traffic, that suddenly has a bunch of traffic.
Yeah, and also the panels 5 and 6, like you've been talking about modernist, I would call that very modernist, very impressionist.
It feels rushed. It feels dirty. It feels almost offensive for how, not avant-garde, but how creative we've been up to this point.
Yeah. And
it just feels really, really phoned in, that we had to condense all this shit into one page, and we weren't really sure how to do it. Because after this, we go back to that stack structure, and we play everything that we played with in issue 1 and 2 is back, man. And then you look at that last panel. that last panel, the bottom third of this page, that perspective is fantastic. You've got the fire escape on the building. You've got the fire escape of the building next to it in that perspective. You've got the window is perfect. Everything works. You get the ladder there. It's like an escape out to draw you across the page and get you to the page. Everything about that panel rocks. But the panel before it looked like this.
It almost feels like the comic book equivalent of a movie reshoot.
Yeah, this page just doesn't fit in this book. And it's like they needed another 3 pages, but they didn't have them, and so they just condensed 3 pages of shit into 1 page to get this done, because we have to get this done. And it's not that it's written poorly, it's not that it's drawn poorly, it's not that the layout's bad. I mean, I don't really like the bottom. I don't really like panels 5 and 6, but I really don't like panel 7 either. I really don't like the whole bottom third. I don't like the bottom half of the page. Actually.
I don't like this page.
Yeah, I just don't like this page. It's brutal, especially when followed by this. And then in addition to that, we get this, which is, again, we're playing with that ethereal as he comes to. Now we're doing it in verse. Home run. We've played with this before where he's drifting off to unconsciousness. Now he's coming back from consciousness and we're inverting it. Brilliant. You've already established what does the faint gray line mean? It means he's unconscious and he's not aware of what's going on. And now we're coalescing into reality. We're coming out of it, and we get that. But he's been poisoned, and now we get the surreal, man. Now Colin just gets to sing with the next 2 pages. This is awesome. We're playing with some psychedelic shit here. Not so much here, but when we get here, we are.
Wow.
And the narration just works. He's throwing up. You get the vomit and the
rat
spew
face
all over. Yeah, it's all over there. The rat, because it's rat poison that he thinks he's throwing up, and he is throwing up, and he's got the rats and the mice. Oh my God, Colin is hitting a home run. This is fantastic. You don't expect this. And then we get the conclusion, which I'm not going to ruin for you because you need to read this book. You need to go out and buy it. Full recommend. But we do get a nice epilogue. We get a nice closing for the story, and we get an epilogue. And everything ends up as well as you can expect it to be. What was your thought about the ending, JP? Was it what you wanted?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's a story of broken people being broken, so there really couldn't be anything more fitting than for them to end up being slightly less broken.
That's a really good way to put it. And Citizen Ronan is quoting our good friend Kenny Rogers with, I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. There you go.
Man, you really should have ended the show right when the song ended. A little piano melody there at the end. You should have just cut right to the end. Right to the end. Just end it right there. Yeah. Sadly, I don't have anything else. I think that's going to be it. But this is the recommend. Like I said, it's the 4-issue miniseries from 1984. You can find it on eBay. You can find it on. Do not buy it on Amazon. It's outrageous per issue on Amazon. MyComicShop.com, Midtown Comics has it. You're looking at $20 to $30 shipped to you for the full run. I consider this a full recommend. I think this is absolutely a brilliant buy. And go get it, man. I don't think you can go wrong. JP, your thoughts? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. That's all. No, I'm just kidding. It's really good. But I mean, again, like I said at the beginning, it almost feels like cheating because it's exactly up my alley. You know what I mean? So it almost it feels like I have a tainted view of it. No, I hear you. I hear you. Like a fine Italian sandwich from Philadelphia. I can't look at it objectively. Right. Snugs wants to know, can I get a Xerox version for $60 anywhere? Yeah, I guess. If you want to send me $60, I'll photograph. We'll make it happen. Copies and staple them together for you. We can arrange that, Snugs. Just let me know when the check clears.
But I will be dropping the link for the back room in the chat if you want to join us. But otherwise, I think that will do it for us tonight. Unless you had anything else you wanted to talk about, JP.
Yeah, it's fine.
Does that mean you're good? Or?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I just got to find the... Now, see, this irritates me. StreamYard has changed some stuff, and I can't...
The smoothness of the music has overloaded its circuitry.
It has. It's
circuitry sexual.
It's completely negated my...
Wait, does that mean that the show can't end?
We are at the point where the show can't end.
My God. Well, we only have another, 96 hours until the show?
Yeah, there you go. Let me, I'll drop the link in the chat. See, this happened to me Wednesday, too, where I just lost stuff on my StreamYard interface. I'm going to drop the link to the back room in the chat, and then I'm just going to end the show. And there's no outro tonight because StreamYard has decided that I can no longer have access to my outros, apparently.
Well, this is awkward.
Not really. But
so you think the Lions are going to win this?